to December 31st. I did a couple shows. We got really drunk and stayed on for 4 or 5 hours, taking super chats and stuff. And then said, I'm all done. I'm not doing the show anymore. Now, he's come back twice since then to do some YouTube shows because he thought he had some interesting content, but he hasn't really done anything. But he went on Cameo. And so he thought he was going to make his money on Cameo because he was reading like $2 and $5 insults for a living. He's like, what if I start reading $50 insults? That would, 10x my income if I did that. And so he did Cameo for a while. It was $50 and then it was $40 and then he was off. Now he's back and now it's $56 because it's $70 but 20% off.
Mm-hmm. Valentine's Day sale, Carl.
Yeah, he keeps playing with these numbers and percentages, trying to figure out what the right amount is.
It's going out of business sale.
Right.
Will he say anything?
Well, okay, I'm going to show you an example. This one.
He's stuck. He thinks it's still the Dabbleverse.
Is a new one that came in. I saw that you guys covered this on Bedabbling Live this morning. I thought I had an exclusive, but I guess
Stole it from your inbox.
Yeah, I guess so. But this is the latest Cameo from our buddy Stuttering John.
Hey, Dee Dee, how are you? This is the world famous Stuttering John Melendez in my New York gear. I got my Giants football hat and I got my Yankees,
Got your giant head.
the muscle tee.
Okay. So
Here's Carl in his green hoodie.
yeah, I know.
Carl in his green hoodie.
It's like he points out the stuff that we can all observe, and he shows up with nothing. I heard El Haribe talking about it this morning. He used to do Cameo, or still does maybe, and he would say like, yeah, if he started out and it sucked, he would stop and start over again.
Yeah, this isn't live.
Yeah, right. It's not live. You could just like, oh, that didn't go very well. Didn't even know what I was talking about. Maybe I should start this over. But no, John does not have that thought. Also, I want to point out, because, I mean, you live in Florida, Top. I have a house down in Florida. These guys who have to show you they're from fucking New York, like with head to toe, like, I'm like, okay, we get it. You're from New York.
I'm embarrassed that I'm from New York and Florida. People, obviously, my accent, they're like, you're from New York? I'm like, sorry.
Right. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
you live there now, John. You don't have to do that, but okay.
I'm glad that you're a huge fan, and I'm glad you're a fan of the Stern Show, as your dad is. And this is from Arthur for Valentine's Day. Well, this says his name is Art.
So the other thing that John does, like, you've used Cameo before, Top. You're familiar with it?
Yeah.
You get not a lot of characters, maybe 100 characters or something, to put in hey, can you send a message to so-and-so? It's our anniversary. He's really into this or that. You throw some bullet points together so that the guy has something to talk about. John just goes, so I see that you're a fan of me and you're a fan of the Howard Stern Show. And he just like reads what the person wrote to him instead of turning that into the content that he's giving back to it. Yeah, okay.
I love that you liked when I...
Art Vandelay. That was George Costanza's character in Seinfeld. You remember he wanted to be an architect. Art Vandelay.
I did my crying routine at the Virgin Mary house.
I love that you liked...
Did he film this in a fucking wind tunnel?
Yeah, right.
He's got the air conditioning probably blasting in his car.
No, it's a 2012 Mercedes C-Class.
So this is hilarious because the people who are trolling him will try to boost him up and be like, dude, when you did that bit on the Howard Stern Show, man, that was so good. And so John falls for it. And
30 years ago.
watch, he acts it out again as if like...
Of course he does.
As if you're just like, oh, I just wish you could recreate that magic. So check this out.
Anyway,
That was it. Remember that band at Howard Stern? I pretended to cry? A little something like this.
I would have, even if fog up your window and draw the Mary in your window. Do something, to replicate the moment.
I mean, didn't he have lines? I remember that bit. Didn't he have lines and stuff? Where he did more than just cry.
I don't remember. Okay. I remember more of them outside the live remote of that event. But again, it was
Right.
26 years ago. It was.
More than that, probably, yeah.
I wonder what the guy that walked behind him was thinking. Did you see that guy? He looked in the car. He's like, "What the fuck is going? Whatever."
You're in a
John
handicap
reacts to him,
spot.
too.
Oh, no, you belong.
That was a good bit. I know you love the Channel 9 show, and I love doing that show. It was a lot of fun. And
Brilliant insight. He liked that one bit you did, and he liked the Channel 9 show. I know you liked that bit I did. I know you like the Channel 9 show.
You like
And it was
me,
fun.
I like me.
well, Art seems like a good guy. Hopefully, one day you and him will become husband and wife, as they say nowadays.
What?
Nowadays.
Nowadays? Nowadays they say husband and wife? What do they used to say? What is he talking about? He really has nothing.
Channel 9 show, and I love doing that show. It was a lot of fun. And, well, Art seems like a good guy. Hopefully, one day you and him will become husband and wife, as they say nowadays. Anyway, enjoy yourself. Have a
you know what
great
that was?
Valentine's Day.
What?
I just realized for a second in his head, he was like, "Am I misgendering Dee Dee? Is Dee Dee?" And he just had like he had a mini stroke.
Yes.
Realizing maybe I can't say husband. Oh well, go for it, John.
Yeah, you're right. He was trying to think of what's the gender neutral terminology, and he fucking screwed up so bad.
Partner and partner.
Yeah, right.
John.
Day. And if I'm ever performing in your area, VIP tickets on me. All right, this is Stuttering John saying, yeah.
I love John's promises for VIP tickets for anyone when he's performing in their area.
Someone should take him up on that.
It's such he's never performing in anyone's area. It's such an empty fucking thing.
I want everyone who sent them a cameo request to send them a note now. Book a black box.
Yeah. I know my buddy Earl David Reed's planning on going to that show.
See, you do have a black friend.
It's true. I was making a joke before. At the
Does
Boca
he do?
Black
Does
Box.
he do the loop?
No, he doesn't. He's one of the good ones. But so he's going to that show, and I should really tell him to just tell John he gave him a cameo once, because John's not gonna know. He's not doing it.
That's what I mean.
He doesn't have an accounting process.
Anyone could cash in on
Yeah,
this.
right. Exactly. Get VIP tickets for it.
Oh, imagine the panic.
That'd be great.
I only sold 14. I can't give up 2.
All right. I have some breaking news. I got a note from Ricky Melton. Ricky Melton is the stand-up comic that put John on the St. Pete's stand-up show that we reviewed on this show. We did a bunch of it with Adam Bush this past Wednesday. Of course, Uncle Rico's show broke down the entire stand-up set that John did. And it's mostly the old stuff he was doing, but then there was also a whole new chunk that was straight out of his book that he just almost word for word took pages from his book and made a part of his stand-up routine. But Ricky Melton's the guy who put him on and gave him the chance to guest spot because John was canceled from the charity show he was supposed to be hosting because too many people called up and complained about him being a part of the charity show. Chad Zula took credit for it, yes. So Ricky Melton, who might come on the WATP this Wednesday, but he sent me this note, he told me I could read it. So this is fascinating. I'm the guy who opened for, I'm the guy John opened for in St. Pete. I'm a big fan of your show and embarrassed to admit a huge fan of the Dabbleverse. I thought I would share a few things about the St. Petersburg show from my perspective in case you were interested in an unbiased view. John was actually a super nice guy. He showed up on time, performed as agreed upon, etc. One of the opening acts was a hefty gal, and the chairs were less than stellar. Just as I was getting on stage, her chair broke and she fell down. Everyone in the place, including myself, laughed at her. John was the only gentleman who, genuinely concerned, went over to her and helped her up. So John getting some points right there for being a good guy. He says, although attendance was low, which is why I booked John in the first place, trying to generate more interest, or maybe in hopes that trolls would actually get the gig canceled so I could get out of it. It was not 11 people. It was actually 43. I know that's not killing it by any means, but that's on me, not on John. He says, I offered to pay John I offered to pay for John's beers, and he surprisingly refused. He said he had them covered. Okay, so these are all good things about John. Now let's get into some of the stuff that is a little more interesting.
But hold on, is Ricky Melton kind of doing? You ever watch The Producers?
Yes.
Is he like
He's trying
getting
to
insurance
sabotage
policies on his gigs?
He's trying to sabotage his own
Make
show.
more if it's canceled.
Well, he said I'll read it later, but he books shows all over, and he's trying to make a living doing comedy. And this is one of his worst shows. He usually does better than this, but he said this place was a fucking dump. So I think that's why he doesn't mind that I read this. He doesn't care about ever going back again. He says, John drank, I'm going to say about 20 beers in the 2 hours he was there. That's his main problem. Not that his act is groundbreaking by any means, but he could get away with the jokes if he were during his time. The sneeze. Now, we played this on the most recent WATP where we heard John go, oh, I'm going to sneeze. And then he sneezes, and the audience goes, whoa! Like, there was a reaction from people. And we've seen John sneeze on his show before. We know what happens when things are flying out of his face. The sneeze was worse than you could even imagine. Being outside and dark all around the stage lit up, you could see every one of the million or so snot particles fly through the air as people looked on in horror. I still have nightmares about it. How is there not video of this?
That's amazing.
I know.
It's like SeaWorld.
Yeah, it's like a Gallagher concert. It's holding up the
Splash Zone.
the venue is called If I Brewed the World. It was a real dump. Maybe the worst place I've ever been. Every chair in the joint was flimsy. The stage was a shaky plywood. There were no stairs to get up and down on the stage. Yada, yada, yada. Not a good show. Adding John to the show sold exactly one ticket. I'm assuming that was the guy who recorded the show.
More than I thought.
Once people realized who he was, they were excited to meet him. But
That was Shuli's guy who made the video. So Shuli's guy bought the only ticket.
he's no longer very marketable to regular crowds as far as I can tell. John is a little crazy in the sense that he was telling everyone about how Chad put a sign on his door. Top, you know who Chad Zumach is?
I've heard the name, yeah.
Okay. He's another Florida comedian. And he went to John's house while John was in St. Pete's. John lives in Cape Coral. John was in St. Pete's, and he put a sign on his door. What did the sign say, Cardiff? Do you remember?
Pussy boy,
Who has one?
whose son has a pussy.
Yeah.
John has a trans son.
Okay.
So Chad put a sign about, because Chad calls everyone a pussy boy, so Chad put a sign about how your son has a pussy, and you call everyone a pussy boy. Anyway, John was upset about that.
Shit, he has a trans son? That's so sad, dude.
Yeah.
Him and Elon Musk.
Yeah, I know. It's not great.
We all feel bad for the son.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nobody had a clue who Chad was or what the Dabbleverse was. These were all victims. These were all civilians excited to meet a celebrity. But although John was nice to them, he blew the opportunity to connect because he only had one thing on his mind, and that was making sure everyone sided with him over this mysterious Chad. That is so John. I could see him just talking to people, just like, he put a sign, you got to see this sign he put on my. So we're on the Howard Stern show, right? You know Artie? You get to meet Artie. It's like, why are you talking about Chad Zumach to these people? The show started at 8 p.m. I wasn't confident John would show up. I was excited to meet/observe him, but ultimately I didn't care if he did or didn't. At about 7:15, I received a call from him saying, "Where are you?" I told him I was at the venue, and he said he was too. It's a very small place, and no patrons were there yet. So I told him he was in fact not at the venue. He said, "I'm at Three Daughters Brewing." I responded by telling him that I've never heard of that place. The correct name of the venue is If I Brewed the World, as I previously texted him and sent the address. He accused me of trolling him until I got to the bottom of it, figured out $3 was a place down the street. I walked down to retrieve him and bring him back. How does somebody make a mistake like this? This is the thing.
He's gone to the wrong city for his own therapist.
Yes. How is that possible? A guy sends you the name and the address, and you just go to a different place? And then complain that no one's there? It's so weird. He says, opening acts are important. Out of the 43 original patrons, only about 20 remained by the time I hit the stage. Some performers can kill a room, especially when they spray the audience with germs during their set. So it sounds like John walked a number of people during this set. Anyway, I don't want to ramble. I just want to let you know that there were 43, not 11. We accused him of having 11 people at the show. I think that annoyed him a little bit. I enjoy the show very much, although I'm not sure how interesting I would be as a guest. I'd always be welcome at the opportunity at any time. I have a few good Artie stories about my time on the road with him, and even a Screech story or two.
Oh.
So I will, I'll get in touch with